tell them they don't need the headphones? Say no more.
It's 11 minutes after 3. You're listening to All in a Day.
Are you tired of the current economic crisis? Do you miss the good old days of not knowing what climate change was? Do you wish you could go back and make sure someone in the present was never elected? Ha ha! I know I do. Hi there. We're two intelligent and well-articulated inventors. Hello. In these difficult times, the future seems so uncertain. It sure does. Well, look no further, because we have the perfect travel holiday destination for you. Come leave the present in the past. Travel with us back in time. Forget all of your worries. With good times travel, every destination is better than the place you're in now. Let's go swinging in the 20s. Go drugging in the 60s. Just any time that isn't now.
Future's looking sad, the past not so bad. You should take a trip to a place that used to be hip. We would never lie, you can trust this guy. Good times travel.
I should mention this is a limited time offer, available this weekend only. That's when the Black Hand Theatre Collective is presenting the world premiere of their new play, The Death of the Good. Catch it while you can, because next week they're taking their show on the road to Hong Kong. Stephanie Demas is Black Hand Theatre's artistic director and playwright. Hi, Stephanie.
Hello.
Brandon Groves and Gavin O'Hearn are actors in the play. Welcome to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
Pleasure to be here.
So, Stephanie, what's The Death of the Good about?
Well, it's about two guys who are fed up with the current economic situation of the world and hearing about how gloomy the future looks as far as climate change. So they decide that they want to invent a time machine and go back in time. One thing that they decide as well is that they should get other people on board and make a time travel tourism board out of it. So advertise it to other people to go back in time and get out of the horrible present and the gloomy future.
Now, Gavin and Brandon, you are those two characters. Gavin, tell us about your character.
Well, my character studied the depletion of chicken eggs. He's brought on, he's a bit mentally unbalanced, but I believe both the characters are, so that's okay. He falls in love also with a yo-yo.
Does he?
Yes.
Huh. Interesting. It's hard to imagine that there's something wrong with him. Falls in love with a yo-yo.
Yes.
Okay. That's it.
I'd like to tell you more, but I don't want to give away too much of the show, to be honest with you.
And Brandon?
His character's a little detached from the world, and he doesn't have many friends opposed to my character. And my character actually introduces him to the yo-yo to give him a companion. Gavin's character is he's a chemist. He's working on the formula to fuel the time machine, while my character is the mechanic who builds the time machine, and together they can actually do it.
And Stephanie, what inspired you to write this play? Where did you come up with these ideas?
A lot of things. I think currently the recession has been so overwhelming, especially in the media, and I was really interested how it's just this cycle that's sort of perpetuating itself, that you turn on the news and, oh my god, everything's so bad, so you shouldn't spend money, and so if you don't go and spend money in a restaurant, then that person won't be able to go spend money somewhere else, and it just turns into this cycle of just hearing how bad it is all the time and how worse it's going to be, and especially with, climate change is one of those things too. Like in 5 years there'll be no this, in 10 years the ice caps, and it's always just so bad everywhere that you look. And I was just really interested in exploring, especially with the media, of how people sort of take advantage of that. And I mean, you see like, 90% off this and everyone's on sale and all these sorts of things are going on, and I just wanted to explore that side of the media of how much control and influence it does have on the way we are in society, and how much the recession is sort of involved in that message.
The show has a lot of themes about advertising in it, and we actually we advertise our own show during the show. As sort
Seems
of a method.
apropos.
Exactly. It's to try to convince people that they should invest money in our project. So at the same time, we've been using these advertisements outside of the show, of course, but it's been a fun element of it.
You're going to say, Gavin?
No. Actually, no, I didn't really have anything. I was just going to go for a drink of water. But no, the advertising is definitely a big part of it. But you know what? I have nothing.
Do you think that there is hope? Because with all of this bad news, you know, there are all these experts who are telling us that the world is going to fall off the cliff. Maybe there's something to it.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting too how different cultures perceive it. Because we had an interview with a Hong Kong newspaper, and we were talking about the recession, and she said, "Yeah, it's pretty bad over here." And I said, "Well, is it something that's on the tip of everyone's tongue over there? Like how, because you know, you go to a coffee shop here and a lot of times you hear, oh, well, you know, because of the recession he lost his job." It's sort of still in the air, but
everyone adopts the same language,
right?
The same catchphrases,
and it's something too that's interesting, that it's, you know, it's Peter Bransbridge. It's like it's a lot of the stuff that everyone sort of, the economists say it and then everybody just repeats it, where in Hong Kong the culture is totally different. It's not appropriate to talk about it. And I think that's super interesting. So if it is people are losing their jobs and all this stuff is going on with the stocks, and it's a huge business center, but people aren't talking about it as freely as we do here. So it'll be really interesting to see like which economies actually pull out as you know, quickly. And I don't know, it's so difficult in Canada because I don't know, sometimes one person says something about the economy and it turns out something totally different. So it's really hard to tell who to trust and who is telling the truth and who actually knows, because it seems to change every day. Like, you know, recently everything's been bouncing back okay, and it doesn't look so bad, but then you talk to, Gavin and I were comparing media sources the other day. You sent me a BBC thing that said, you know, things are going to be okay for Canada and we're going to step out, and that day, I swear, I was reading a Canadian news source and it was the exact opposite. Everything that you had said in the BBC article was just totally opposite in Canada.
Well,
so it's crazy.
Well, Brandon, speaking of stepping out, do you ever feel like creating a time machine of your own to escape?
Well, in fact, I did build the time machine for the show, which is another story. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I've always sort of had an affection for history and for the past. And of course, the characters in the show believe that the key to escaping the horrible future is to go to a more simple lifestyle and more bucolic place and travel back in time. And they constantly say that they can't go to the future because maybe the world's been destroyed and they'll go there and they won't be able to come back. And I started actually at school as a history major and moved into theater because I sort of fell in love with it. But the show does have sort of a personal touch for me just because of that concept of going to a more simpler time, which I personally believe is something that we can do to help aid the current economic crisis.
Now, Stephanie, you mentioned Hong Kong. How did you manage to be invited to that?
I don't know how we get these gigs. This is crazy for us. We've been very fortunate. We've been around as a company for 4 years, and our first gig was in Prague, and we just got invited, and we're like, hey, let's just try this out. You know, it'll be this one-hit wonder kind of thing, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then from Prague we got Berlin gig, and we just got back from Istanbul in October. The day we got back from Istanbul, we get a little email from our friend in Prague who lives in Hong Kong and says, hey, we're starting a micro festival at the National Arts Center in Hong Kong, and we'd like you guys to be a part of it. I mean, we don't charge more than $10 for a ticket, but in Hong Kong at the National Arts Center, this is something that seems to be a deal for them, and it's just an incredible opportunity. So it just was sort of like, oh, you guys are always happy and fun and love theater. Why don't you come all the way across the world?
And Gavin, when you were in Prague and Istanbul, what were the reactions?
Oh, actually, you know what? I wasn't in
You were
Prague.
there?
No,
Okay.
it was only Stephanie, to be honest. Yeah.
My apologies. But what has been the reaction then of audiences?
Yeah, it's cool. We've gone to Prague. Brandon's been to Prague. We were just there last year, and it's amazing. We're building an audience there, which is really crazy. We went the first year, and the second year we came back, we were in the Prague Post, said the Black Hand is back. We're like, nobody knows who we are back home, and all of a sudden,
Repeat audience. It's
yeah.
really nice.
So the Canadian embassy in Prague just was really supportive of us and put us in all the newspapers, and so the Canadian body who live there, it's people who come see us are Canadians living abroad. In Istanbul, it was different because it was a little bit of a social project for some of the poorer regions, and in Berlin, it was is also different scene too, but especially in Prague it's the expats. So I'd like to say that we're always performing for audiences of that country, but realistically we're going to Hong Kong to perform in front of a bunch of British people.
And Gavin, when you conquer Hong Kong, what'll come after for the
Well,
troupe?
we're expecting to just stick around Southeast Asia, to be honest with you, just become kind of vagabonds and tourists,
Right.
moving around from, I think it's Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos.
We're gonna do that trip. We're in that part of the country, so it's time to see some new things.
Exactly.
Take Manhattan and then take Berlin.
Hey, Chuck, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Berlin's
Not bad.
Yeah, really.
Well, thank you all for
Couple
joining us
minutes
this
away.
afternoon, and good luck
Okay,
in Hong
thanks.
Kong.
Thank you very much.
very much.
Stephanie Demas, Brandon Groves, and Gavin O'Hearn are with the Black Hand Theatre Collective. The Death of the Good has its world premiere at the Avant-Garde Bar this weekend. The bar is at Besser and El Houzi in the Market. Performances are tomorrow through Sunday at 4 p.m. Tickets are $10. Go to blackhandtheatre.com for more information.